How is everybody doing today? This is L.A.Kendrick from another tale from the vault of Would You Dare. I'm here trying to get this vehicle inspected and then bring another vehicle back and get it inspected while I have the time. And the story today is definitely for mature audiences. Make sure you hit that like, you leave a comment, you share and subscribe this, okay? We need to go live at some point. And this is one of those topics that I believe we can go live on. Share thoughts. And again, here we talk about the crazy, the demonic, the supernatural, monsters of all shapes, forms, fashion, dimensions, what have you, whatever, all right? And we keep an open mind here, again, just to get back to the fans and touch on a few things. But this one today, it's like H.H. Holmes, America's first serial killer. But this is my personal experience when I interviewed an actual serial killer in real life, in real time, all right? Not making this up, so let's get right into it. It was about 1999, I'd say to 2001, in between that time period. Because what I was doing, I was actually trying to finish up. I was working on 2 college degrees, and psychology was one of the classes that I was finishing up, and we had a paper to do. So I said, okay, I'll take the paper. I'll do the paper. And the job that I had at that current time, at that particular time, allowed me an opportunity to get into the minds of a psychological killer. And it gave me privy to talk to different people from different walks of life. So what I said, I'm going to get a good grade out of this. And I remember being at this particular post or this particular job that I had at the time, right? There was a guy by the name of Enos Burden. And it was the strangest thing in the world because I was like, oh yeah, this is going to fit perfectly in what I'm trying to do. Because now, you're doing a psychology paper, and you're giving a psychological evaluation, because psychology is really, really fascinating on how people work and different mindsets and states of being, all of those things, right? And I remember his bond being set at $1 million. So I looked up his charges. I had looked up his charges a couple of weeks before I actually did the paper. And he was in for murder. And I'd only seen maybe 2 or 3 at the particular place that I was privy to be at. And there was only 2 people that I'd seen with $1 million bond. And both of them were for murder. And again, this information is public. So this is not something that I'm spilling. Even at the time, what he had done was public record. He was just actually waiting to be shipped off to prison. That's what he was doing. He was just at a holding station at that particular time when I interviewed him. And I asked if it was okay to interview the guy. They said, yeah. And I told him what it was for, college paper. So I came in on my day off, street clothes. Had me come into a conference box, glass, bulletproof glass all around it. And we sat down and they brought him in. He was unshackled. He didn't have any shackles on. We had a couple of officers outside. And the guy looked like Charles Manson. He's got a tattoo dot on his forehead, as well Charles had the swastika on his forehead. I think Charles had the swastika. And same demeanor, only he didn't laugh as much as Charles Manson. Charles was more matter of fact, I'm glad I did what I did, and I'll do it again. This guy was like that, only he would laugh and then act like he had remorse for what he had done. But he sat down and I started asking him the questions. And he looks at me and he starts answering. And he had told me how he got there, and they had ambushed this young guy, and, murdered him with the help of another guy. And that's how they caught him. But he had done a lot more and a lot worse than that. And what he did to that guy, it was pretty messed up as well. But I asked him why. He didn't really give an explanation. He was more or less like, it's just what we were doing. If we needed something done, we just do it. And then I asked him to be more specific. And then he said something about a cult that he was in. I thought, a cult, okay. All right, cult, got you. Cult. And, like I said, again, he would not make eye contact. Well, if I didn't say it before, I'm saying it now. He didn't make eye contact. He always looked behind me. And I tried to look him directly in his eyes, and it was like a blank expression. Again, he looked like a burnout junkie, maybe because he was heavily medicated or sedated or whatever you want to call it, but it was very lucid in his conversation with me. And he shared a lot of stuff, a lot of detail. A lot of the detail I won't go into. It was a little bit too graphic, but I'll give you guys a little taste of what he talked about. And I kept thinking, how are you living with yourself? But he would say to me, he's done a lot of bad things to a lot of people, and that he will have to pay for it sooner or later, one way or the other. I don't know if he meant by the death penalty or when he meets his maker in the afterlife. I have no idea what he meant, but he said he knew very clearly and vividly that what he had done, he's going to have to pay for it. Like, he showed some remorse, but then no remorse. And I'm thinking, well, why would you let it go this far if you're going to show remorse? But again, he specified to me directly that he was he had something to do with a cult. And I've actually seen a video of him a couple of days ago. That's what brought this to my attention and refreshed my mind. And I was really surprised, to see the interview, because he was all shaven, teeth all gone. And again, I don't know what drugs they may have been using at that time. Meth might have been the drug of choice, but I don't remember it quite being as, it might have been just popping off, but not like it's doing now. But he told me real calmly, but kind of erratically, with the way that he spoke and the way that he talked. He told me about one situation with this young lady, and I thought, wow, man, that was kind of messed up. He said he had been watching her, and him and one of the guys, I don't remember the name, but he just said one. I don't remember if he even gave me a name, but he said that they had been watching this girl. He said that she hadn't been paying a lot of attention. They had been stalking her and watching her for a while, and then they caught her one day, and he said they tortured her, and before they killed her. And I said, so how did you kill her? He said that he took piece of barbed wire fence, and he had taken the barbed wire fence, pretty lengthy piece of it, wrapped it around her neck, and commenced to strangling her and torturing her the whole time. And he said eventually he just watched the life pass out of her body and out of her eyes. He said he didn't feel any remorse at that time, any pain. He said he was glad that he did. And I said, well, why would you do that? He said it was part of our cult. We were in a cult. And I thought, what? Again, I never took my eyes off of this cat. I always watched his body language, because if he did come across that table, I was going to give him that work. And that's just due to how my dad always talked to me about making sure you're physically fit, and told my brothers the same thing. They were very athletic in high school, and they both were military, Marines, and things like that. And all of my senseis and my boxing coaches, they told me the same thing. Never take your eye off your opponent. Never underestimate your opponent. I always took the philosophy of Bruce Lee and Muhammad Ali. And I always watched anybody that was a clear and present danger, and people that are not. I always watch and be mindful of my surroundings. And so he giggled a little bit with the fact of what he did to her. Then he stopped. And he kind of dropped his head. He looked back up, and he said that it was crazy, and he kind of felt bad about that one. But he told me he killed 17 more people. She wasn't the only one. Well, of course, we knew that wasn't the only one. But when he said 17, I thought, man, this dude is a living, breathing monster. And there were other people, accomplices, in what he had done. There were other people. He wasn't the only one. There was a group of them just stalking people and taking their lives because he could. And all I kept thinking was, man, what is this? What, you know, you don't deserve any mercy. However they take you out, they need to take you out. I don't care anything about at that point I kept thinking, I don't care anything about let me get my grammar correct, right? Maybe more astute. I didn't care anything about him not standing trial because he wasn't competent. I didn't care anything about that. At that point, I'm like fire and brimstone, man. You need to be taken out. And everybody that was involved in they need to be taken out. Forget living off of the taxpayers' money. You need to go, right? And that was just my personal opinion at that time. And I still kind of feel like that. Still feel like that. A lot of people may not agree with that. But what's the point of letting people that are just taking if you're here taking lives away and making people's lives, what good are you to society? You can't contribute. You're just taking people away because you can. Ending people's lives because you can. Again, with the young lady, that bothered me because she didn't even she was unsuspecting. And anytime I trained with females, when I had trained with females in the past, before COVID pretty much hurt a lot of my business, I would always tell my female clients, always look before you leap, always be mindful of your surroundings, how to run, how to jog, where to go, where not to go. I would always talk to them on those levels and those bases so that they weren't becoming victims. Because anybody can become a victim. Make sure you always have some kind of protection on yourself, pepper spray, taser, gun, knife, whatever, to protect yourself because somebody's always watching you. And that's what that particular job taught me. Somebody's always watching you, no matter what. Monsters are always out there. Somebody's either trying to get with you or get with you. So, I'm writing down and not taking my eyes off of them. I'm kind of like doing shorthand, scribble work. I'm pretty much remembering everything that he said because the interview only lasted about 15 to 20 minutes with this guy. And again, he told me a lot of stuff and, stuff that I don't even want to discuss or go over again. But it was absolutely crazy, watching this guy talk and just hearing what he was doing and how he said and what he took out and how he took stuff out. It was just strange. And I couldn't figure out how somebody could be so jacked up. I just couldn't. Again, not intimidated by him at all. I don't fear with open hands, no weapons. I'll take my chances with any man. I'm not afraid of any man. I don't underestimate anybody, but I'll take my chances. I'm the youngest son. I'm the youngest of all the kids, so we got to grow up a little bit tougher. And that's what happened. And so, I got all the information that I needed from him, and I tapped on the window. I said, hey, okay, we good. We good. And they took him back. He said, I thank you for the interview. And he said, pray for me. I'm looking like, pray for you? Are you crazy? Praying for you? I said some other things in my mind that I'm not going to say right now, but there's a lot of things that he did to people, 17 people. He even told me where he had buried, I don't know if it was the young lady, but one of the people that he had buried, he said he had buried him, they had dug a ditch near a fence line because they could always retrace what they did. And he said he was going to take the authorities to the burial site, the grave site of the person, one of the people that he killed, in order to get a lesser sentencing. And I don't know how that went down. I don't know what happened after he left, after my interview with him, after we talked. I wrote it up, typed it up, went to class, got a really good grade off of it. I think I got an A. And I recall them, really shocked that I had, that, because I don't think anybody else had an opportunity to do that. And again, I was fortunate enough for that psychology class. But again, I'm very, very saddened by the way that young lady lost her life. That was the one thing that bothered me a little bit, how he took her. Not because I was afraid, but because he just took her life, man, and you didn't even care. And so, like I said, there was a lot more detail on the things that he'd done, but I didn't question it any further. And so I I know that it was it was like the absolute craziest thing you'll ever see. And as I said before, monsters come in all shapes, forms, fashion, dimensions, um, devils, you name it, they're here. And that's what I mean. Um, this is for a mature audience today. Again, you can look up this information. Again, there's an interview with him giving an interview right on the spot with somebody. Um, he's clean. His face is shaven this time, and he looked like he doesn't have any teeth. And there was a guy, I don't know if it was he said the guy, there's a comment where the guy said that you took the love of my life, and if they don't take you out and you get out, you manage to get out, you got me to face when you come out. And it was a it was more of it was a more stern warning than that. He was dead serious about it. So Enos always told me, when he told me, he said that he knew he had done some things wrong and he's gonna have to pay for it. And I'm still thinking, why did you let it get that far? And when I looked him up, again, he wasn't listed as a serial killer, but if he said he killed 17 more other people, I think that fits the description of a serial killer, in my opinion, because some of these people have been missing, and apparently he was able to identify some of the people that he killed. I'm not sure. Again, you can look it up. It's public information. You got public access to it. Yeah, that's my story on the time I interviewed a actual living and breathing serial killer. So would you guys dare want to be caught in a situation like that? So that would be the question of the day. It's always the question that we ask. Make sure that you're not a victim. Make sure you're paying attention at all points and times. Make sure you have situational awareness and you are paying attention to your environment. Because it can happen to anybody if you drop your guard. Again, this has been L.A.Kendrick with another tale from the vault. I believe this is episode number 30. You guys, please like, share, comment, subscribe. Tell me what you think about this story. All right? We can do a live, but comment. Let me know what you think. Again, because this really did happen. Just like H.H. Holmes. And I'm going to close it out because I've been talking a little bit too long. And again, this one was serious because, again, I seen it, and like I said, I met a lot of people from all walks of life, some good, some bad. I think, as we all have, some monstrous, some horrible, as you can see. So in closing, you guys remember the motto. Make sure that you check your homes, the closets, the dark recesses of your home. All right? Make sure that if you work late at night or early into the mornings where there's little or limited light and vision, you check under your car. You check inside of your car. Make sure you got protection at all times. Keep that thing on you. Because you never know what's lurking in the dark to make you a story. And this has been L.A.Kendrick. You guys, this has been my story. Comment, and you fill in the rest.